This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane. To the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 122. On today's episode, we are going to discuss Vince McMahon burying this wrestler, as well as take a look at the Elimination Chamber. Yes, we do have another pay-per-view. We just had one, but guess what? We have another one. Of course, we're going to take a look at the biggest topics in trends in wrestling, and we're going to recap AEW's Revolution. It was a fantastic show. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. Doing the show with me, as always, he's a beautiful man. I love the little peach fuzz on top of his head, and I love his awesome beard. He's got a fantastic beard, guys. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of this guy, but he has a great beard. On top of that, I do love the oil on his chest as he slides down the stripper pole. He is the one, he's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Flicking off little kids everywhere. The rudest podcast. The heeliest of the heels. Bro, MJF won. He went over. That puts you in the lead. I can't believe it. A little tease there. MJF, how did they make that decision? I can't believe it.
Dude,
Revolution, bro.
Revolution was fantastic.
Bro, you and I took it in the best way possible. Inside joke. Everyone knows that you have to be a listener to understand that, but you and I took in Revolution the best way that sports fans can take in a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was good, man. I absolutely loved Revolution. And I want to give you a little bit of a side note, right? So you kind of know what I've got going on in my life, right? I have essentially acquired a foster child. And I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but I have essentially a coworker that I work with who was going through a couple things and have kind of helped take her in a little bit to help her with her situation. She has become a huge wrestling fan almost overnight. So she watched AEW Revolution with me, and she was enthralled with it. She thought it was fantastic. After AEW Revolution, I put on the Kenny Omega Okada hour-long draw, and she thought it was the most fantastic thing ever. So it was just interesting. It's like she's never been exposed to wrestling before in her entire life, which was mind blowing to me. So she's watching and she's like, "Is this real? Are they really hurt?" And I'm just like, "Well, sometimes they get hurt." And like you got you got Jon Moxley bleeding all over the place, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's real blood." So, but it was interesting to watch it, and then to watch it with somebody who was taking it in for the very first time. And this was a fantastic showing. Let's just kind of get to the quick recap here. And we're going to talk about some of the highs, some of the lows, what we thought was really fantastic, and what maybe should have been better. Jack Hager defeats Dustin Rhodes via referee stoppage. I think this was the right call. Darby Allin defeats Sammy Guevara. This was a shock to me, and I think a little bit of a shock to you. But Adam Page and Kenny Omega ended up defeating the Young Bucks to retain the AEW Tag Team Championships. Interesting that they're continuing this Matt and Nick Jackson feud with Adam Hangman Page. Really, really weird. Nyla Rose defeats Chris Statlander. MJF defeats Cody Rhodes, which shock. Pac defeats Cassidy, which was an event that was added late. That was added, I think, Friday night. And then Jon Moxley goes over Chris Jericho to win the AEW World Championship. Now, watching this pay-per-view, I thought it was set up perfectly. I don't think there was a moment where it was really, really low. You did send me a message where you're like piss break, and that was during the Nyla Rose Chris Statlander match. Honestly, I think that was probably the worst match on the card. It just drug. It was just kind of slow. It was a little bit methodical. There was really no big spots. It was what it was. It wasn't fantastic. But I think both of us agree probably the best match on the card was Pac and Cassidy.
Ooh, the crowd. When you have the crowd so into it where they're like screaming to the highest of heavens over little kicks. I thought it was silly, but the crowd really made the match. Yeah. It was so fun to watch. And I'm texting you, I'm like, dude, this Orange Cassidy gimmick is so over that they made silliness fun. Yeah. It was one of the most fun professional wrestling matches. And it actually made it so when he actually kind of got into it, that going from lazy to full bore was kind of cool to see. And the guy can just flat out wrestle with his hands in his pants, and it's great. And I kind of felt like he maybe should have went over, but I just feel like, you know what? A guy like that now is very entertaining. Mm-hmm. Pac is a guy that they've obviously respected and is, really upper mid-level guy for AEW. So he probably needed to go over, but Orange Cassidy, the fans connect to him at a level that all wrestlers should really watch and study because it's fascinating. That's what professional wrestling is. It's entertainment. Mm-hmm. And they got a guy that's just kind of into it. And once he started to do it, it made for the dynamic of a match to be highly entertaining and very much a match that I was like, I like this.
Yeah. His gimmick is so damn good because he goes from
different. Yep.
He goes from basically 0 or 1 to going 12. The scale goes to 10, but he goes to 12. He was so damn good. And him and Pac, they have great chemistry in the ring. It was a fantastic match. It was outstanding. I thought another match that was really, really good was the tag team match with Adam Hangman Page, Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. We were texting during this match, and both of us agreed. Like the way it was playing out, it was very entertaining. We thought it was a really, really good match. And then it started a little bit slow, and then once it ramped up, it was like spot, and it wasn't like we're just throwing all the spots at the wall. No, it made sense in the story. The story they were telling in the ring, it all worked. I thought this was fantastic. It wasn't the ending either one of us expected. I myself got a little bit on the edge of my seat as Hangman Page had his back turned to Kenny Omega as Kenny was shaking the hands of the Young Bucks because Kenny and the Bucks still boys. Hangman Page, he's going his own direction here. When he had his back turned to Kenny, I thought for sure we were going to get the turn where Hangman was going to flip on Kenny, even though they just won just retained the tag team titles. And then he just sits on the rope and lets him out and then gives him a hug. They are toying so well with all of your emotions. This is a fantastic story. This is absolutely great. I loved it.
The right person went over?
I think so because originally we thought the Young Bucks were going to, right? We seen them kind of ramping this story up to get to Page and Omega, but this is what good storytelling is. We're going to take our time. We're going to draw it out a little bit, and then when you either least expect it or when you're just not ready for it, we're going to give it to you. And I think that's what we're getting here. I think this is fantastic. This is not how we drew it up.
And if you paid attention to AEW throughout the card, they kind of teased the fans a little bit regarding Hangman just kind of turning around. And you saw in a couple matches where some of the turns that the fans were expecting, they kind of slowly hinted at it to get the fans on the balls of their feet going, oh, is Hangman going to turn on Omega? But then they walked off together, went to break. I was like, oh, that was so good. They did it a couple times in the pay-per-view that was so good.
There's nothing better than a good wrestling swerve. Yes. And right now they keep swerving us because we keep expecting them to go right. They keep kind of going left. And at the moment that we think that they're going to stay left, that's when they're going to go right. So this was fantastic. You already talked about MJF and Cody.
Da-na-na, da-na-na. Oh, man, that stuff was good, bro. That was a good match.
I thought it was a good match. I don't think it was one of Cody's best matches, though.
Exactly.
I expected more from this match.
It was a letdown because of the hype. It was probably billed based on what the two guys could have done as a potential match of the night candidate. And you and I were watching it, and it was a little bit slow, a little bit plodding, and it was a story told. But sometimes in marquee pay-per-views, you got to actually wrestle, kind of pick up the pace just a little bit. I thought that the match in and of itself probably was not produced the way in which it probably could have. A little bit faster paced. You need a little bit more. It was slow and plodding. And I was telling you, I was like, is this the way the match is going to go? And the match finished, obviously, with the heel doing the heel thing. You and I maybe were a little bit surprised in that, I thought Cody was going to win. You had MJF. You figured that they were going to put him over. And that's fine. Cody doesn't have to win the match, and you can see why they did that. I just felt like MJF now, if you're going to get the ball from Cody, okay, you got to have a better match. The match has got to be better if basically Cody passes the torch to you, okay? Because if you're going to get the rub. If you're going to defeat Cody Rhodes, who's one of the marquee guys, it's got to be a little bit better.
Cody Rhodes in AEW's history, in its very short history, has had the best matches.
Yeah.
95% of the great matches from AEW have come from Cody Rhodes. And this match was a bit of a letdown. It wasn't a bad match, but it was a bit of a letdown.
And if you want to play that where MJF destroys Arn Anderson, I think it's a perfect because they did in fact tease it that is Arn going to turn on Cody. Maybe they will have that happen in the future. But I thought the better storyline would have been Arn turns and joins MJF.
Yep.
What better way to have now Cody be the ultimate sympathetic figure, my best friend, my mentor, somebody that's close to my family history, and he turns on me. Maybe they're setting it up where the turn will happen at a bigger moment, maybe in another title match, or this now starts to plant the seed. But because of the fast nature of professional wrestling, we're like, oh, Cody destroys Arn Anderson. He should turn on him right then and there. And maybe, the enforcer will decide to, turncoat and become aligned with the marquee guy, MJF. But I thought it would have been cool to do it right then and there. You would have had an ultimate emotional response from everybody. Our jaws would have dropped because I don't think we were hearing talks of Arn switching up yet. Because right then and there, when he gets hit, you're like, oh, what a great idea. Just do it. Pay it off right then and there. Now you have a great storyline kicking off Wednesday going, how's Cody going to answer to Arn? What's Arn going to say? You get the enforcer cutting a promo with MJF in the ring? Bro, that would have been money.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll happen. Maybe the seeds have been planted. But I just felt like you pass the torch, you have MJF go over, but it wasn't as special. It wasn't as good of a wrestling match. And sometimes you just got to wrestle. You got to do more. And so for me, it was like a 3.25 out of 5 stars.
Yeah. For me, it was a bit of a letdown just because I expect so much out of Cody's matches because he's been so good for so long. And then MJF, look, this was built as like you said, the marquee match. We were debating going into Saturday night. We were debating which match was going to be the headline, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we had the AEW World Championship on the line when Jericho took on Moxley, and we thought maybe Cody MJF could take it because it's been hyped so much. But Moxley and Jericho ends up headlining. That was the main event, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a great match. This was an A match for sure.
And see, the other thing too that we talked about was timing. If you want to have a slow plotting match, you put that in the beginning, or you put that right at the end, whereas the crowd gets super hyped for Moxley. But I know it's the title, so the best spot for that match, the MJF match, would have been right there in first.
Yeah.
First off, line it up, and the crowd would have probably felt a little bit better. But having Pac and Cassidy in between was probably the second best decision, which is what they did. But Moxley defeating Jericho was just right from the beginning. It was violent, it was good, and it was the right guy winning. Moxley carries the company, and I know, in this AEW WWE feud where people are like, oh my God, Goldberg won. It's a travesty. How can they have this happen? And then people are like, you guys are being hypocrites. If Moxley and Jericho, the two top WWE stars, are battling it out, how's that developing new stars? Well, it's a different thing. Moxley goes to AEW to be the guy, and he is the top guy. He's believable. Nobody on earth thinks a suplex should have defeated The Fiend, and nobody on earth thinks that, we talked about it. We were close on last week's episode in terms of our matchups.
Yeah.
We had Roman Reigns being in the main event, but not against Goldberg. We had him being in the main event to win the match against The Fiend. But the way they did it, and you called it, and I listened back, I was like, okay, we kind of were around this. You mentioned it, you heard about it, and you put the pieces together that it was going to be Cena and The Fiend. But in all,
hold on. So let's before we transition out of as we transition out of AEW.
But the point is, Moxley is the man, and he deserves to be the man. So that's why he's got the belt.
Oh, absolutely. Makes
nobody's going to argue it.
Makes total sense. Let's table WWE for a quick second because we'll come back to that quickly. But no, I think you're right. Chris Jericho was brought to AEW for a reason. He was brought in to help solidify this company, right? He was brought in to be the champion, to be the inaugural champion, to give it some prestige, because Chris Jericho has won on just about every continent and in every country that you can think of where wrestling is top billing. Chris Jericho is a GOAT, okay? Don't care what you think, don't care how you feel. He is a GOAT, all right? Moxley comes in, and Moxley came in with, if you remember the way that Jon Moxley left WWE. There was a video that he released on his YouTube, him breaking free of the chains that had binded him. And if you look at what he's done since he's been in AEW, the guy is 12-0-1, right? So he hasn't lost a match. He has been incredible. This only makes sense. And again, behind the scenes booking, right? Chris Jericho has a world tour coming up with Fozzy, or they have a tour coming up with Fozzy. So on AEW the other night, they were teasing him being off TV for up to 60 days. There's a reason for that. It's because he's going to take some time away to go do different tour dates with his band. All right? So you had to somehow get the belt off of him. And when you get the belt off him, you have to put it on a guy who's going to be credible. Jon Moxley's as credible as it gets. As credible as it gets. On top of it, it opens up feuds for other guys now. He's going to work his way through the inner circle, and then from there, anybody else who wants to challenge. So I think it works out really, really good. As far as predictions go, you did some foreshadowing. I got 5 to your 4, so I'm going to steal a point to tie it up at 2 apiece. Do you want to stay with AEW, or do you want to work in some WWE?
Let's tie this up with a nice bow. What are the 2 or 3 biggest topics right now in AEW?
I think MJF maybe going too far, flipping off a 7-year-old.
Thumbs down on that.
I loved it.
I think that's too much.
Loved it.
He's been taking the heel character a little too far, Michael.
He is a heel through and through. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was great. You told me about something he did on the Busted Open.
He got into a Dave LaGreca, if you're a fan of the Busted Open podcast.
I love Dave LaGreca.
Busted Open
great.
on Sirius XM, Fight Nation channel 156. He kind of got into it. I think it was kind of, inside, kind of a work situation. But I think that MJF went a little too far disparaging Dave LaGreca's wife. And LaGreca went on the air and said, if I ever see MJF come hell or high water, I'm going to punch him. Because MJF said that if he ever saw LaGreca's wife, he was going to leave a human stain on her.
Yeah,
on her face.
I don't think you need to do that.
No, you don't.
That's
say
a little bit too far.
Too far.
It appears as though I don't even think it appears. Matt Hardy's going to AEW.
Oh baby, it's coming.
So Matt Hardy interacted with the Young Bucks on the latest episode of his YouTube series.
Yes,
Free the Delete. In Wednesday's episode, Hardy began by speaking to someone on the phone, and by the end of the episode, Nick and Matt Jackson arrived at his compound, to which Hardy replied, "Bucks of Youth, I knew you'd come." So I am so pumped up because
it's going to be done well.
It's going to be awesome because a couple years ago, Matt Hardy was so over, and he went to WWE. Had a nice little run.
Good 6 months, and then they wasted
And
2.5 years.
Yes.
It was a good, I mean, the 3-week promos were okay, but they just were not done right.
Yeah,
It
it was-
failed to hit the mark.
They did. It was
How
horrible.
do you fail to hit the mark with the most over gimmick? Sign of the times, the problem in WWE. It was the most over gimmick. You know AEW fans are going to eat it up, and they're going to scream delete to the highest of heavens. And in his last 3 to 4 years, maybe his last contract, Matt Hardy will get to evolve the character the right way.
Yep.
You know it. It's not going to fail.
And
There's no chance.
And speaking of gimmicks that WWE has ruined or has taken liberties with, Super Showdown. The Fiend loses to Goldberg, okay?
Okay, and here's the thing that I think I just want to say quickly in regards to that. I understand those that are saying, look, it's WrestleMania season, big money matchups. You have the marquee now, Roman Reigns, and you have Goldberg.
Yeah.
It's fine. It looks good. Okay, but that's not the problem that people had. People are saying you buried the Fiend because of the way the match was produced. Goldberg did not execute his jackhammer properly.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, the Fiend on camera looks like he gets defeated by a suplex. That's the problem. It wasn't that Goldberg was going to go over. You made the decision. It's WrestleMania season. You can sell that. Okay, the marquee looks good. Goldberg standing next to Roman Reigns. You're going to pass the torch. Everyone's going to cheer, and you're going to have a bunch of great crowd reactions at WrestleMania. But now when you look at The Fiend, you go, this guy that you built up lost to a suplex. So all you got to do if you're a producer, you got this. You go, okay, Fiend, we're going to do this in 3 minutes, real quickly. Fiend, you're going to attempt to do the claw on Goldberg. Goldberg's going to, kick out of it. Boom, maybe go down, hulk up a little bit. Boom, boom. Then just have Goldberg do the claw on the Fiend and choke him out. Like try his hardest and just do something different or a submission move. If Goldberg is going to execute the jackhammer, they maybe needed to practice it to see if he could do it because it can't look that bad. Or once he executes it like that, the Fiend should just kicked out. He should have realized, whoa, this wasn't done right. They should have had some kind of mental cue like, no, go 1 extra minute. They should have produced it differently. They should have on the fly adjusted to make it so that the Fiend was vanquished via some sort of submission that made Goldberg look really tough, or just as a trolling kind of nature of Goldberg saying, look, I'm going to beat you with your move, and I'm going to put the claw on you and just wrench it in, and then, the Fiend doesn't tap out, he just goes out to the strength of Goldberg, and you don't make the Fiend look like the bitch that he looked. And so, yes, he's buried. It's not believable anymore. He's now out there with John Cena. I know he's going to get elevated, and I know you're going to have a great, grand entrance at WrestleMania, but the visual of the Fiend being this undefeatable character is now over.
It's over.
And you can't do that. That's what everyone says. It's over.
You can't get it back.
You buried the character.
Yep.
You can't get it back.
It's similar to what they did with Asuka, right? Asuka was this undefeatable woman wrestler.
What are they doing?
And then they bring her up to the main roster, and she ends up losing to Charlotte. It made zero sense. And then like her character hasn't been the same since. So you just done the same thing to the Fiend. And let's go to the John Cena Fiend match. Wouldn't it have been a better match if John Cena was going for his 17th title to beat Ric Flair's fictional title number? Ric Flair had actually, I think it's like 22 championships, but they say 16. John Cena going for his 17th, I think, is another layer to that story. It's something you could build on and work the match around. Instead, you have him lose to Goldberg in a match that was sloppy, in a match that wasn't very good. And look, I understand why. I understand why it is that they took the belt off of the Fiend. His matches haven't been great. Essentially, he is an entrance. He is a great storyteller and he is a great promo. But in ring, his matches aren't very good. And I understand that. But all that being said, pre-produce it, work harder, figure it out, do something different. All right? Because now what you have is you just killed a character who is huge. You've got Goldberg going against Roman Reigns, which is bleh. And then you've got John Cena taking on The Fiend. And we all know how this is going to play out. You all know John Cena is going to lose this match. There's nothing there. If there was a title championship in the bout, you could be like, okay, John Cena might actually win this because you understand how WWE feels about John Cena. All of a sudden, it becomes very real that John Cena could win his 17th championship.
And you've opened the door. Now, I don't know if they're going to actually do this at WrestleMania in Florida because I don't know if the Florida crowd is of a trolling nature. But the intended reaction is for Roman Reigns finally to get the cheer after a year of grinding and to get over, to finally be the guy that's respected and have it be the right time. Based on the way you did this, though, you could have the fans shit all over the match and not care either way. I don't think it's going to happen, but you've opened the door for the possibility that those fans at WrestleMania are just going to boo similarly to how they did when it was similar to how it was when it was Seth Rollins against The Fiend in that awful red-lighted bullshit, I think it was Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
It was, just god-awful. They moved on quickly from it. You have that chance now that the fans are not going to be happy because the fans gravitated toward The Fiend. They wanted to believe in him. You had it in WWE. Now, some in the business are saying now that The Fiend lost that way, he's going to be a sympathetic character like Daniel Bryan. I don't know if you can recover in this day and age in 2020.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't think so either.
And look, here's the thing about the Roman Reigns-Bill Goldberg match. And I'm sorry to be spending so much time on this, but this is probably...
It was the biggest story in the week.
This is the biggest thing because Raw was kind of a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
Raw wasn't very good. But Bill Goldberg can't wrestle long matches.
No.
His matches are usually done and over with within 5 minutes. So how are you going to put a match together with Roman Reigns and Bill Goldberg, right? Because I think the thing that makes you... that invests you in Roman Reigns' character is the fact that he's had to grind. So he's going to go have a 5-minute match with Bill Goldberg and he grinded for his championship? Is that what you're going to tell me? Like, again, you put Roman Reigns in a situation where, again, it's lose-lose for him. I don't understand how this is a win-win for him. I don't understand how you're going to help elevate this guy who goes away, comes back with his leukemia announcement, battles through leukemia, and then all of a sudden the crowd has changed, right? The crowd, like we talked about it possibly being a work because WWE loves Roman Reigns so much, right? We were like, maybe the whole leukemia story was a work. And felt bad saying it, but we had to bring it up to talk about it. The crowd has changed since that leukemia announcement, since he's come back to say that his leukemia is in remission, all right? How do you possibly waste that year and a half? How do you waste that by putting him in a match with Bill Goldberg? And look, I like Bill Goldberg. I think Bill Goldberg's he's a great representative for WWE. I think he used to be a fantastic wrestler. Matches were short. They were to the point. You knew what you were getting. It was very, very simple formula. All right. All that being said, how do you take this guy who you have built for years and put him in this match with this guy who really can't go any longer than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I just don't understand what that means for Roman Reigns. I don't understand how. I just don't think it works. I really don't.
Okay, and now on the heels of that nonsense, WWE, we got a pay-per-view?
We got a pay-per-view. Like, we just were in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, you have zero build to anything in this. Like, there is nothing going on. You go to Saudi Arabia, and then in under a week's time, we've got to turn around and we've got a pay-per-view, and it just like they threw stories together.
And I don't even think that you and I probably, of the 5-6 matches that we got recorded down to see to preview, I don't even think we're gonna get 3 of them right.
I don't either.
50% would be a miracle. Let's go through it and see what happens.
It's gonna be a total dumpster fire.
What do you got so far? What's gonna be on this card? I couldn't even tell you one match right now.
No.
The women's match. Yeah, the women's match. That's it.
That's it. I went online. And I was like, what does this match card even look like? So I had to find this, and this is what we have at the time of this recording.
Okay.
So Natalya versus Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler versus Asuka versus Ruby Riott
Elimination Chamber
versus Sarah Logan in the Elimination Chamber.
Got to go with Baszler for me.
Me too.
You can't hype her up and have her lose, right?
You can't. Yes,
Yeah.
because this is okay. So what's on the line? We should probably make that very specific. What's on the line is a chance to face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania.
Shayna
So
Baszler's
it totally
win.
has to be Shayna Baszler.
Yes. Lock of the picks.
We have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship in an Elimination Chamber. So we've got The Miz and John Morrison versus The New Day versus Heavy Machinery versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler versus the Usos.
The champs, baby. The champs are there. I like Morrison. I like the fact that they got the titles at Super Showdown. Makes it so that you got to pay attention a little bit to some of the title matches. Give me Miz and Morrison, baby. A reincarnation of one of the great tag teams. It's good to see in 2020.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think it's going to be the same way. I don't know why you would take the belts off those guys. I think they're fantastic. They both have great promos. So we've got our Intercontinental Championship match. Braun Strowman versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn. This appears on paper to wouldn't be a triple threat match. It'd be basically 3-on-1. So a handicap match?
Mm.
Okay.
I'll
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what's going on here.
I would like to see a title change, but Braun got the belt. They can't take it off him. He's got to be the champ going into Mania. So give me Braun Strowman.
I'm going Strowman as well. I don't know why you would take it off him. If you're going to take it off him and put it on any one of these guys, Cesaro.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like Cesaro deserves a belt at some point. But that being said, I'm gonna go Braun Strowman. You know what's gonna probably end up happening? We're gonna end up picking all the same matches here. Raw Tag Team Championship match: the Street Profits versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy.
Probably the highlight of the week on Raw was the Street Profits winning. They're a great tag team. They got so much hype and credibility. They're fun to watch. They're a team that you have to pay attention to. So I'm just gonna say that the Street Profits retained.
Yeah, I'm going to go Street Profits as well.
Yes.
I don't know why you would put the belts on them just to take them off of them. Okay. Doesn't make sense to me. We have a no DQ match. This is AJ Styles versus Aleister Black.
AJ got over. I think Aleister Black is a guy that's getting pushed. So while I would hate to see AJ Styles lose because of the fact that, he's about to take a huge loss at Mania to The Undertaker, give me Aleister Black with the potential of some maybe just quick music interference, another sighting from The Undertaker, which I thought was cool. Check out Detroit Podcast. I screenshotted a great photo of the first interaction between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. But this one, you got to pay off with having Aleister Black go over.
So I totally think Aleister Black has a great shot to win this match. I'm going to go opposite of you. I'm going to go AJ Styles.
To give him some credibility heading into Mania.
Yeah.
That's probably the reason you would do it, but I mean, the right thing to do is to have Black go over, but I have a chance maybe AJ Styles has to look good going into Mania. Otherwise, it's going to be a stupid way of having that match shake out with AJ on a losing streak.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. And it might actually play out the way you said, where there's some music or there's a chime or there's something and
it's costing the match.
Yeah, distracts AJ. But I'm going to go Styles. So we have the U.S. Championship. We've got Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo.
Andrade all day.
Yeah, I think
no chance for a change.
I think you've got something special here with Andrade right now.
You got it.
I especially like Andrade and
the young cat with now that has the lady, right?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. The girl who's been, or the guy who's
Selena Vega
working with Selena Vega. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Just
we'll
had a brain fart. And then we've got a problem match: Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak.
Daniel Bryan. I don't know why they're having this match. I haven't been paying attention. You and I both said that Bryan deserves way better. And whatever they're doing, he's taking kind of now the mid-card approach when he's a main event guy. So it's whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to go Daniel
Bryan, good match.
As well. I think it'll be a solid match. This is a pay-per-view that I have zero interest in.
I probably won't even watch it. We probably will talk about it on Flick Chat a little bit, passively watch it, but might be on in the background. But yeah, this is the Elimination Chamber. Just get us to freaking WrestleMania. Once this is done, it's on, baby. And I think the builds will be good because the card at Mania is starting to look good if the coronavirus doesn't just spread over the world and cancel WrestleMania. Look, Vince will be like, all right, Florida's canceled all sporting events. Coronavirus is spreading. Vince is like, that's some good shit.
Some good shit.
We're running Mania, baby. I don't care. Bring me all the wrestlers. I don't care. Coronavirus be damned. We're not giving away that gate, brother. We're doing it. I don't care. We'll quarantine the whole stadium. Come in, and we're locking it down. You ain't getting out for a day. We'll just leave everybody there. You can sleep there. Bring your tents, and we'll just have another wrestling show the next day. We'll just do it all there. Just everybody bring 3 days worth of clothes, and you're all quarantined for 3 days for a wrestling weekend. Coronavirus be damned. We ain't shutting no shit down.
You want some news and notes?
Vince is like, we're going to fucking run 5 shows in China.
He's a madman for sure.
Hit me with this week's news and notes.
So really, really short because we talked about a bunch of cool stuff in the trending topics segment. According to Dave Meltzer, Vince McMahon is burying Ricochet because he has given up on him. This past week, he was squashed in a 24/7 match, as well as getting dismantled by Brock Lesnar. This is a guy who came in super hot, is fantastic in the ring, has been given shitty promos, and for some reason, Vince has now given up on him. Thanks, Vince. Ruining toys all over the place. And according to Jeff Hardy, he has been cleared to return to the ring after attending rehab and would like to take on Roderick Strong from NXT.
Nice.
And that's this week's wrestling news and notes.
Succinct. Really professional podcast. Always enjoy the interaction.
Yeah, we're dropping F-bombs. Super professional, bro.
Oh, come on. It's wrestling.
It is wrestling.
It's professional wrestling. One of the good podcasts out there. You and I are huge smart marks. We love the business. And, hey, AEW is on point, making a strong case for good competition between the two companies, and they're elevating the brand. come hell or high water, that's all we're looking for. When you got Jake the Snake cutting a promo going, holy shit.
Yeah.
Calling out Cody.
That was interesting. We didn't have enough time to get to it today, but
it was good.
That was really good.
So it's going to be a fun time in the next couple weeks. Follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you're a fan of professional wrestling, head on over and download the Flick Chat group chat application. It's Detroit Sports' newest headquarters. Via your mobile phone, all you got to do is download it. Enter lowercase DSP when you hit that plus sign, and within moments, you're in Detroit Sports' hottest chat headquarters. Create your own forums. We watch wrestling. We watch all Detroit sports right there via Flick. A fun way to interact with Detroit sports fans, listen to your favorite podcast, and really just get in the mix in regards to professional wrestling. Thanks to everybody for listening and making this project fun. We will talk soon. See you guys, everybody, next week on the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast.